that bitch who broke my heart, yeah. I cannot sleep in the dark, yeah. She made me think that we had a spark, yeah. She left me to die, I'm so empty. I hate how her eyes started to tempt me. How was I so blind? She was against me. Why did I reply to the text she sent me? How was I so blind? Should've known from the start, yeah, that bitch would break my heart, yeah. I cannot sleep in the dark, yeah. She made me think that we had a spark, yeah. She left me to die, I'm so empty. I hate how her eyes started to tempt me. How was I so blind? She was against me. Why did I reply to the text she sent me? How was I so blind?
Not a good race. Now I get an aero power-up. Unbelievable. I get an aero power-up after the race is over. That's the reality of Zwift racing sometimes. It was a dead flat course, and so really I didn't stand much of a chance to begin with, not having really any sprint. But I held good power throughout the race, real good power. So Zwift has this new rule now where they aren't allowing you to bring power-ups into the race with you. It used to be that you could, get on Zwift 30 minutes early or so, and then collect your aero power-up and save it through the whole race, and then hit it right at the finish. But they've taken that rule out now, so you don't get any power-ups leading into the race. You lose all your power-ups as soon as you enter the start corral. So what it comes down to now, that way at least brought tactics into the game, because I felt if you were smart, you get an aero power-up leading in, and if you were strong, you can go the whole race without using that aero power-up, and then use it right at the end when it mattered. But now that you're not allowed carrying any power-ups into the race, now it just comes all down to luck. So in this race, as you'll see, I got 3 experienced power-ups, and as I cross the finish line, then I get an aero power-up. And having said that, I mean, my sprint wasn't great. I didn't have a good sprint in me today. I don't think it would have mattered that much. Not to make excuses, too many excuses, but like I said, I wouldn't have, I'm not saying I would have won. I'm not saying I would have come 10th. None of that. But I don't know, I would have been at least, I think, 10 places higher. Let me just say that, if I had an aero power-up. I mean, because it just makes such a huge difference, right? So, I mean, Zwift's got to rethink the power-ups. I think either you have no power-ups, or you let people have the power-up going into the race, because then it's up to them whether they use it or not, and it takes some of the luck out of the equation, because now it's just pure luck. If you get that aero power-up, then yeah, you got a chance. Anyways, that's my thoughts on that. So after this, I have a brick run to do. Once again, sorry to be down. I don't like losing, I really don't. I don't know who does. But it's the reality of the game, and that is that it's a game. I'm not saying that an aero would have meant that I would have been on the podium. I don't have a sprint, right? But I'm just saying, make it fair. It needs to be somewhat fair. So, until next time, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. So what I wanted to do real quick is just take you through one moment in the sprint, and it definitely didn't help my placing, and I think it's an interesting thing. A little tip that you can take into future races when you go on the reverse course of Watopia, and you'll see it here. So here we're ramping up. I just paused it there so you can see the graph on the bottom. So we're ramping up, okay? And I'm going to pause it in a few seconds. Okay, you can see we're ramping. We're at 480, 490. It's like we're ramping into a sprint, and then all of a sudden, boom. And I'm going to pause it right here. And you can see, for some odd reason, I was ramping into a sprint, and all of a sudden I came off the power. Not off the power, but I came off the power down to 350. And you can see, actually, I'm not going to get into it again, but you can see all the aero power-ups around me. But I came off the power for a few seconds. Why did I, and the more I've watched this a number of times now, and it's like, what on earth was I thinking? Why was I coming off the power with now 305 meters to go? And I think the reason is because it's on Watopia Reverse, you just can't see the finish. So it's so interesting, it's so mental that, you're like,
yeah, I know the thing says 300 to go, but is it really? Is it right there? Because I can't see the finish line. I can't see the finish banner. So is it really there? I don't know. So it's just an interesting psychology type thing where your mind, you don't see the finish line, and I guess what I should have done here is just buried my head and just stared down at the ground, and that's what I should have done. Just stared down at the power, stared down at the ground, and just drove the pedals into the ground. And that's all I should have done. But I think what happened here is I probably looked up at the screen, couldn't see the finish line, and was like, I'm not sprinting now, I can't see the finish. Even though everyone around me is popping aero power-ups and I have to go right now because I need to get on. The only chance I would have had is if I could have got on one of those aero power-ups wheels. And I think that hesitation right there probably cost me a good six places at least. Now, after this race, I mentioned going into the race I was ranked 10th. After I just checked this morning, I'm ranked 9th now, so turns out that a few of the guys that were ahead of me in the standings didn't perform as well in the sprint, even worse maybe than I did, not as well as I did. But yeah, that moment's just interesting, and I'm gonna hit play here. And actually, it's fascinating because there's a guy ahead of me here. You're going to see a guy ahead of me who's going to be doing 2 watts per kilogram. And somehow my guy doesn't pass him because he has an aero power up. Like, look at this. There's guys doing 4 watts per kg, and I can't pass them. But anyways, it's just interesting. I found just that hesitation really, really did cost me. And it just, I think it's all psychological. Your brain, I looked up, couldn't see the finish, and I was like, I'm not sprinting right now. I can't see the finish. I don't know when this is over. So the lesson is on the reverse course, because it's a blind turn into the finish, the lesson is when you get 500 meters from that line, you put your head down and you just hammer the pedals, and you don't look up for another 30 seconds, because it's all mental at that point. Anyways, once again, I just wanted to talk just briefly about that. But once again, thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another training day.